Kurozucho, a small, fog-bound town on the coast of Japan, is cursed. According to Shuichi Saito, the withdrawn boyfriend of teenager Kirigoshima, their town is haunted not by a person or being, but a pattern. Uzumaki, the spiral, the hypnotic secret shape of the world. This bizarre masterpiece of horror manga is now available in a single volume. Fall into a whirlpool of terror. Uzumaki by Junji Ito is one of the best known horror mangas in the world. So if you haven't encountered it yet, that probably just means you're not looking. Always be looking for the spiral, my friends, because that's that's what this horror is. A symbol, a sign that keeps repeating over and over again across 20 chapters. Now, I literally just finished this as kind of my immediate reaction upon finishing it, trying something new. I was hooked instantly. The hook itself is really gripping. Starts off kind of playing on mental health and familial trauma, but also you get these like possession vibes, haunting vibes as one of our main characters, well, really our first secondary character, Shuichi, he is watching as his father devolves into obsession with the spiral. And that first chat, I think it's the first chapter, leaves us with something truly haunting in the form of someone's death and the repercussions that come with that, with grief and loss and fear, because we all know the madman, everyone knows the madman was obsessed with the spirals. But I think my favorite chapter involves mosquitoes. Let's just say I learned something. I learned that only female mosquitoes suck blood, and that's to incubate the eggs they're carrying. Do with that information what you will. I mean, it's still sitting with me a couple days later. The images and the scenes, and it's haunting. My one complaint with the series, the volume, is that there's a point in the narrative where we kind of leave the horror elements behind. We transition into more mystery, and things feel a little more contemporary, with the supernatural being more of an undertone. It was kind of at that point I felt a little slowed by the story, because what had been hitting was hitting hard, and it was pretty horrifying images. But as they're trying to come to the conclusion, it felt like the supernatural kind of gave way a little bit to a more character driven story, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it didn't match the precedent, in my opinion. I will say, if you like horror, you like manga, it's worthwhile. And I knocked this out in like 5 days. So, yes, it's a lot, but for those of you who know manga, it's like a comic book. So you can really plow through a lot of pages in one sitting. But you also should sit with it. You should sit with some of these images. I loved it. I'm not gonna stop recommending it to people, but I'm gonna take the time now to spoil some things for you. So if you don't want to spoil this, turn it off. Okay? But if you're here to kind of see some spoilers and see if this is the right fit for you, I'm going to show you some things. Get ready. I'm going to open to this beautiful, haunting color interior. The more you look at it, the more horrors you'll see. Again, a little bit of color. It does transition to predominantly black and white, but there is color artwork throughout. The spiral obsession creates our first chapter, and we start seeing someone obsessed with the spirals. I mean, on everything. And don't worry, because you can call the spiral from within yourself. Okay, seriously, spoiler warning, graphic content, beware. This is our first victim of the spiral. He spiraled himself into a bathtub. Yeah, it's grotesque. But what about when he's cremated and his smoke and ashes spiral into the clouds? Terrifying! We get a little centipede hybrid version as familial trauma and nightmares set the tone. On this, there's not going to be some horror. I'm just going to tell you all. You know the spiral can be called from within. How many spirals are there in the human body? This next image is quintessential, I think. I had seen it long before I ever cracked the spine or even owned the spine for that matter. What would you do if your hair started spiraling out of control? Literally spiraling. What would you do? I will only leave you with two more what would you do's. Here, what would you do if you saw a giant spiral slithering up the side of a building, leaving a sluggish trace? What what if you started to notice it kind of looked like a person? All right, this will be the last one I leave you with because it's from my favorite portion of the volume. What if the babies in the maternity ward could talk and they were saying things? Things like, can we really go back? The room is wonderful. I want to go back to the room. Yeah, it's fucked up. So, reader be warned. This is graphic. This is, yes, there's not like color throughout, but there is trigger warnings for death, mutilation, self-harm, violence. There are cosmic entities, and there's just so much that if you're triggered easily, I wouldn't touch this. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, Uzumaki, spiral into horror.